We are live. Let's go.
Welcome along. Welcome to Boropod. We are back. I am not Nate. You can probably tell by the fact I don't sound like I want to kill myself like Nate does most of the time.
What's that?
Welcome along. It's great to be here. We have Pat. How's it going? How's your weekend?
Hello. It was good. Yeah, it was good. I watched a lot of a sport that I'm not allowed to talk about on Sunday. Watched Stevenage win on Saturday, and like 20 minutes of that game was fun. So yeah, it was good.
Good stuff. Nick, back in for another week. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was all right, not too bad. Premier League's back, so that gave me something to do on Sunday. But 20 minutes probably optimistic, Pat, in terms of enjoyment from Saturday, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, I was including the way home with Nate, to be fair.
Yeah, that's a downside if ever there was one. And we've got James back for third time, is it?
I think it's my third, yeah. Do I get a gold watch at some point?
I'm
I'll have that.
You get the hat-trick ball, which never gets delivered. But welcome back. How was your weekend? Again.
Yeah, much like you guys, it's dependent on the football. I think I enjoyed more than 20 minutes of it, though. I felt the game was pretty comfortable. I'm sure we'll go into that, but I quite enjoyed most of it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Northampton, a game I am never massively confident in, even though our recent record with them has been pretty good. Lineups, so we were unchanged from the previous weekend. Philip Marshall in goal, back four, Valufa James Wilden, Charlie Good, Carl Piagiani and Dan Butler. Midfield two, Jordan Houghton and Harvey White. And the front four, Jordan Roberts on the right, Dan Kemp through the middle in the 10, Chem Campbell on the left, and Jamie Reid up front. In terms of match stats, it was pretty even in terms of total shots, 10-9. We had more shots on target because they didn't have a single one, which is not really a surprise. They just beat us in fouls committed, 16-13. They had 6 corners to our 2. But it was I made some notes, which is more homework than I ever do normally for these podcasts, because apparently when you're hosting, you have to know what kind of happened. But just talk about the first half, because I think the first half, we could probably fill about 15 seconds worth of content with what happened within it. So pretty poor, very little created, but Northampton did a pretty good job of keeping us at bay and making it quite a frustrating first half. Pat, what was your thoughts on what was a pretty lackluster first half performance?
Honestly, I thought Northampton shaded it in terms of like possession, and the dangerousness of that possession was they didn't create any shots on target or trouble the goalkeeper. They got the closest to creating those chances. We had very little and did very little. And I was thinking at half time, I wouldn't want to be in that dressing room with Revs giving them a dressing down, because that performance is not going to be good enough against most of the teams at this level.
Yeah, I mean, I think Revs spoke to it in his post-match that everything was just very slow. We didn't show the intensity that we showed against Blackpool in pressing, or equally against Rotherham in terms of how clinical we were with the limited chances we had. And it felt like we resorted to a Northampton style of football, which we just haven't really seen in the first, what will be 3 games if you count the game at Charlton as well. So was slightly nerved after the first half, but luckily we picked it up in the second.
Yeah,
No, I mean, Northampton are an organised side, aren't they? That was pretty clear, and I agree with not just Revs, but Nolan was saying that they had the better. Nolan was obviously saying that they had the better of the game for the whole 70 minutes. I don't know if I completely agree. It was combative, and it wasn't a great watch, but I don't think we were ever really put under a great deal of. I wasn't terrified. The Northampton sides of past that have visited us, you always know that there's just something's going to happen to us. As soon as we took the lead, I personally thought that was game over. It just felt
you
like
saw the size of
game.
Wheatley. You saw the
Yeah.
size of Wheatley making Page look small, and you thought that's going to be a problem. And then he didn't try and win a
Yeah.
header all game. He was good at laying it off when they got it into his feet, but he just didn't have the physical threat that it looked like he should have. And
Yeah,
wasn't
and
there when they
especially
needed him in the box.
especially after Pidge got booked so early on as well, after coming up against List and dealing with him as how you'd expect him to, kicking his legs
List
away
looked
from
more
under him.
dangerous in an hour than he did for the whole of last season for us.
Until he put a ball into the range, yeah, and then you're like, that's Elliot List.
List is back. Just
Yeah.
on the first half performance. I mean, I think I tweeted something along the lines of utterly forgettable, because there was not one thing that I even remember about it in most parts in terms of talking points. But the refereeing performance, I mean, the whole 90 minutes was really poor again. And that's what we've now had to resort to on this podcast, is discussing referees, because there was nothing else to talk about in that first half. So we'll call him useless and move on. But second half, first 15 minutes was definitely more of the same. It didn't really feel like there was a massive adjustment until the goal. And the goal, I completely agree with you, James. I felt like when that goal went in, it was not only a relief that we were a goal up, it was relief because I didn't see them coming back into the game. I didn't see them having enough about it. Well worked set piece. There was a part of me at the time of it happening that was kind of waiting for the linesman to put his flag up, which was for no reason whatsoever, because he was miles onside. But I just had a feeling that it was one of those games that trying to put the ball in the back of the net, it's probably going to get flagged offside. But let's talk about Dan Kemp's importance to this team, because I think he's someone who, I mean, look, last year was a standout player for us. This year, it feels like he's found his position, and I mean, he's got to be one of the best players in that starting 11 and pretty much first name on the team sheet every single week, right?
Yeah, I think he picked up really in the second half of last season. I mean, he bagged 10 goals from essentially as a midfield position, and being our top goal scorer by the end of the season. And for someone that spent most of his career in League Two, that is real progression. And he's still relatively young. I think he's 26, 27 odd. So he's still got a good few years left, and he's in his prime. The way he started this season suggests that he looks for another double figures in goals and probably similar in assists as well. So very promising. I think the biggest importance for us this window is making sure we keep hold of him. I think you can imagine there will be championship clubs who will start to get desperate as the window closes, and they'll be looking at someone like Dan Kemp as a perfect fit to try and nab off of us near the end of the window.
He's definitely a player that we've seen with Pierre Gianni and Jordan Roberts getting new contracts this week. I mean, he's definitely one I'd be very happy to see being tied down. I imagine, I'm not 100% sure what he signed when he signed, but I imagine this must be the last year of his deal. We might have an option potentially for another year, but yeah, but that would definitely be one that would be high up on my list if I was Revs trying to tie him down to another deal.
Mm-hmm.
He blew his audition for Waterboy though, didn't he?
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
He will not be doing that job.
In terms of other players, I wanted to mention. We'll get to two substitutes in a moment, but Dan Butler was given man of the match, which takes a lot for. I mean, I think it's usually the sponsors who choose Carl Piergiani regardless of the performance.
Good goal scorer.
Piergiani. Yeah.
It's pretty much guaranteed. But to choose Dan Butler, who, I mean, I thought he was excellent. And he seems like in this kind of, I say new shape, it's not that new, but with Chen Campbell and Phoenix Patterson, who we'll get to in a minute, it feels like he's just elevated his game to a whole new level.
Well, he was man of the match against Rotherham as well. So that's 2 out of 3 in the league that he's probably been our best player on the pitch. And I think last season that probably wasn't regular enough, seeing those kind of performances from Dan Butler. I mean, you saw it from the reaction when Saxon re-signed, that everyone suddenly jumped on expecting Saxon to start. And it's like, hang on a minute, we've got a player that hasn't dropped lower than League One since 18-19 season. The guy knows how to play at this level, and he's been consistent. And I think he's just showing that to another level at the start of this season.
it'll be. It'll grow as well. I think there was instances where he missed balls into the feet of Campbell, I guess because he's so used to not having an outlet there and having to come back inside. And you saw him raise a hand of apology as after the chance had gone and he'd gone back inside and then realised there was actually a guy out there he could have played it to. But that was a minor blemish on an excellent performance.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the two substitutes who made a big impact in this game. Phoenix Patterson, one of them, it was almost I wanted to call this episode the Rise of the Phoenix. It felt like it was a really, really strong performance down that left-hand side where Campbell wasn't getting a huge amount of joy or opportunity. He came on, made an incredible impact. I thought he was definitely going to be knocking on the door to starting tomorrow night.
He's electric, isn't he? We've obviously only seen fits and starts from Phoenix Patterson so far, but he's getting me out of my seat. He looks so quick, positive, and really tricky. So I think he just gave them something totally different to think about. And then when they started to sort of look at their right side for our attacks, that's when our second goal came from the left side because they were starting to let Jordan have a bit more space on that side. So it was it was great that I felt that sub really changed things for us. That substitution, Campbell for Phoenix.
I think with Phoenix as well that there's been such a willingness to see him start games, but I think he probably has needed that time to grow and understand how we're playing. I can remember one vivid memory from the Rotherham game where he went to press at completely the wrong time and Revs got fuming at him as a result of it. I think it's those little things that are probably the reason why he hasn't started games yet. He looked a little bit slow against Charlton, but really then came into the game over the course of that fixture. So no doubt he will start games for us in the near future. I think we need to buy our time and make sure that he's integrated correctly. Campbell, evidently, in the first couple of league games, showed that relatively well. And Revs has used that last half an hour to give Phoenix that opportunity, especially when we've taken leads, to see it through. So, yeah, no doubt. And with his set piece quality, I think he's going to become even more important in us trying to give Pidge and Good goals to add to the tally so we're not relying on our forwards all the time.
Yeah, the heat maps might prove me totally wrong on this, but I feel like Campbell is holding higher positions and not tracking back as much, whereas Phoenix is coming back and getting involved and more willing to get back and help his fullback out. And that extra depth means he's getting more of the ball, because I don't think Campbell had a bad game and was, the replacement was needed because he was underperforming. He just wasn't getting much service because he was staying that bit higher and the ball wasn't getting to him. So, yeah.
So I understand from what Nate said on Saturday, it sounded like Campbell was absolutely livid to be coming off when he was. It sounded like it wasn't.
Yeah, the body language wasn't great.
I think it's probably difficult for Campbell because I think he is one of those players that he needs the ball to his feet higher up, but with the space to turn and then run at defenders. And Phoenix feels a bit more trickier where he can get the ball under pressure and do a little bit more with it. So you can understand the frustration from someone like Campbell in that scenario if he's not getting the service that he kind of wants. But in this team, in these kind of games, sometimes you just need that alternative to make the difference. And evidently that's exactly what Phoenix did when he came on.
He's also, I think, compared to Campbell, he makes just really, really good runs. Like there's so many times down that left-hand side that you have someone like a Kemp who goes into the channel and occupies a bit of space, and Phoenix just knows like when to go and make a good run for someone like Butler to play him in. Whereas with Campbell, it feels a little bit more, not robotic, but he's definitely not quite had that in his game so far. And I thought Patterson was unbelievable on Saturday. And also I want to give a shout out to Jordan Houghton as well, someone who had a pretty terrible debut against Blackpool. He is someone who, in terms of taking up, and Nick mentioned this loads of times, in terms of taking up those positions in the middle of the park, when you've got someone like Harvey White next to you who allows Harvey to then go forward and be a bit more on the front foot. he just feels like that kind of midfielder that I can't see dropping out of this team, regardless of whether you've got Dan Phillips on the bench or Louis Thompson coming back from injury whenever that happens. So again, and the assist was, I mean, he got absolutely poleaxed for the assist.
It was brave, wasn't it?
I did. There was something on Twitter that was talking about predicting your player of the year and what your bold claim would be for the season. And I put Jordan Houghton as my player of the year. I remember Nate replying to me going, "Shouldn't that be your bold claim?" And I think it was just after the Blackpool game, and I was convinced that it was a one-off, and in a few weeks we would have completely forgotten about that performance. And thankfully, it's not one of the things I've jinxed of late. And he's proven that to be the case. And I think he'll be absolutely imperative to us continuing the kind of form we've got and allowing Harvey White to be the player that we've seen over the last couple of games, who seems to have completely shone compared to what he did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we have a fully fit Louis Thompson and arguably Dan Phillips as well, I think Phillips is still only just come back from injury. It's going to be competition in those midfield places looks pretty tasty, which is not something a couple of weeks ago I was kind of expecting to necessarily think, which it's definitely interesting. I think we've got to talk about Ghassan Hadmi. I would call him the Gas, so sorry to anyone who's listening who wants me to call him the Gas. I refuse. Point blank, not happening. Brought on and within seconds, I can't do it. I had to listen to the press for the 2 years. That's enough for me. 2 minutes or 90 seconds after coming on, pretty much. I mean, there was a lot of doubters on when the signing was made, myself included. I was very much uninfused by the signing. Certainly wasn't expecting a debut goal within 90 seconds of coming on. And I think he heard a lot of that noise going by his goal celebration on today as well. I think he's definitely silenced a few of those doubters. It was a hell of an impact to make within 90 seconds of coming off the bench.
I mean, I think you can look at his time at Charlton and take one thing from it, but he scored 11 goals in a Cambridge side in League One 2 years ago, and I don't think that's a fluke. He's clearly rated, otherwise he wouldn't have gone for the figure he went for to Charlton. And clearly he's just had a difficult year of it. The fresh start really with us, I think, is a benefit to both us and the player. And I guess there's no better way to kick off a new chapter than scoring 90 seconds into your debut. And I think Revs enjoyed it. I heard that he was down by the corner flag for celebrating that goal before making his way back to the dugout. So obviously we were all relieved, including him, to see that go in the back of the net.
Really missed that. I didn't realise that he'd celebrated.
Yeah, he came right past us.
Did he? I didn't. That completely bypassed me. I was too busy looking towards the East Terrace, clearly.
And it wasn't just the goal, was it? His movement was threatening. He was good at aerially at challenging the centre backs. So he was all around someone that helped us be on the front foot for that last 10 minutes and not be sitting nervously trying to hold the lead. So yeah, but bodes well to have that backup / pressure on Reedy for his starting place, to keep everyone on their toes a bit.
Yeah, my Cambridge mate said, enjoy him. He's a Titanic shithouse. So I'm looking forward to
down to the ground.
I think I'm just enjoying having something other than, someone that's just going to hold up a defender when Reed goes off, because that's all we've really had in the past recently. Just a player that will stand there and occupy a defender and not really present much of a threat other than that. He looked good, but then it's still early days. We'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely early days. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how much. I mean, Reed is still going to be the first name on the team sheet. I have no doubt. I'll be interested to see what opportunities he does get. But I like that he gives us something a little bit different. You obviously got Jovan Malcolm, who's come in, who I would say he looked a bit lost against Charlton in the cup. I'm not going to talk about Charlton too much because it wasn't really worth talking about. But he was. I mean, for someone who signed a couple of days before, you can't really expect too much, but he very much looked a raw player when in that game, and With Ahadmi, it kind of felt like he was just straight into the mix, and really nice finish. In fairness, it was difficult, relatively difficult angle. It was on the stretch as well, so I think. Yeah, I don't think you'll get much better debuts than that. Someone who comes on for the last 10 minutes of the game. Anything else from the Northampton game?
I think the bit to take away from it, and actually from the first 3 league games, is we're showing different ways to win football matches.
Yeah.
I mean, Northampton was a prime example of not playing our best, but grinding out a result and ultimately taking the chances that we get. Rotherham felt like a really professional performance, but maybe we should have scored a few more goals and buried it earlier.
Yep.
And then Blackpool was just ruthless in terms of our press and getting 3 chances and scoring 3 goals, which when you're in a purple patch, normally it's one way you've managed to win over that period of time, and you're just waiting for it to end and someone to figure you out, and suddenly you start dropping off again. But it feels like we can enter games with different dynamics and knowing that we've got different profile of players, whether it's Reed or Ahadme, Chem or Phoenix, that can come in and impact a game in different ways, which I think is the really promising takeaway from the first 3 league games.
When you can
Alan with 2 L's in the chat feeds in that Gassan was being chased by Bolton as well, so plenty of interest at this level.
Although their fans will never admit to that now, they didn't get him.
Oh no,
now that he's come to Stevenage, he's shit. Yeah,
exactly. It's like Chem Campbell turning down Reading or not going to Reading. Everyone said the same thing. What's interesting, and I think it's a good point, Nick, in terms of finding ways to win. What's also interesting is that the 2 league games we've had at home have been against 2 sides who weren't very good. Let's be brutally honest, both Rotherham and Northampton. But defensively, we've looked very, very assured. We haven't actually conceded a shot on target in either of those 2 league games. Philip Marshall's yet to make a save as a Stevenage goalkeeper, ironically, which is one of the, after 3 games, is one of the funniest facts I think I've probably ever heard.
You'd ideally want your saves to goals conceded ratio to be the other way around come the end of the season, but we'll let it go for now while we're winning, yeah?
I mean, I'll be quite happy not to concede a shot on target for the next 10 games, no problem. So, but I think a lot of that is down to looking defensively assured, and there's a similarity to that back 4. They've been together now. Well, I mean, obviously Charlie Good only signed last year, but they've consistently been together for the last 2 years, and 3 of the 4 have been with us for at least 3 years now. So it feels like we're, even though we've got a new goalkeeper in, and we've seen that back line when Tay came back in last year looking pretty shaky when they didn't have a goalkeeper who was very assertive behind them. It feels like with Marshall, it looks pretty comfortable, which is really all you can expect from someone who joined 3 days before the season started.
Apart from the odd header into the back of Dan Butler, it's going fine.
Yeah, it's very difficult to judge a goalkeeper when they've had very little to do. But of what he's been able to do, and I think his commanding from crosses has been really important to see out games. I think actually we've seen Tay probably struggle in that area a bit over the last few months. And so having someone that is really confident to come and claim crosses and really take the pressure off has been really important. His distribution is pretty good as well. He started a fair few counter-attacks. So, I think you could walk away from the Blackpool game thinking maybe he could do better with a couple of with the 2 goals. But on balance, I think he hasn't really put a foot wrong to suggest that we would be looking to swap him and Tay round, at least in the foreseeable future.
We were a little bit lucky that Northampton missed those 2 chances, because they had one in the centre of the 6-yard box that missed the target, and then a guy hit the post right at the back post.
That was amazing. That miss.
But you need your luck.
The more of those crosses you can claim, the better, right?
Yeah. But again, we are getting a little lucky in some scenarios. But I mean, it's all working in our favour at the moment, so I think we just got to enjoy it, don't we? And I'd rather pick up.
You make your own luck, don't you?
Yeah,
that's what they say.
We didn't give him enough chances to get any confidence
from all the rubbish years. My biggest concern in that back line was the ease at which Charlie Good was levered out from under headers by Elliot List, because Elliot List isn't massively statured, shall we say. So you shouldn't be letting him maneuver you out of the way of headers. You've got to be dominating those, because he'll be facing much more bigger challenges going forwards in League One than List posed.
I do remember though the number of free kicks given against Elliot List for us, like for exactly that. Low centre of gravity, a defender pivots over the top of him and hits the deck, and there you go, free kick to them. And it always infuriated me because getting a free kick given against the smallest person on the pitch for outmuscling you should be embarrassing for any centre back. And when it was Charlie, I was like, okay, maybe I should shut up now.
But I think he did correct that in the second half. I know he struggled in the first half, but second half, I think Good realised what he needed to do, and he actually dealt with it fairly well. And again, really tells the story of the game. I think every player was in a similar position where was quite off it for the first half. And so, again, important that our experienced players are able to still live and learn, even in the middle of games, to be able to turn the performance around. Otherwise, we might have seen Swinney on the pitch. Who knows?
All good stuff. Let's see what else happened in League One. So the scores from Saturday: Burton Port Vale was 0-0. Port Vale we play, of course, tomorrow. Exeter won.
They lost their captain in that game as well. Red card to
Sent
the
off,
captain.
Yeah, I saw that. Exeter won. Mansfield 2. Barnsley 1. Bolton 1. Blackpool 3, Huddersfield 2, which is an interesting scoreline considering how bad Blackpool's season had started before Saturday. Bradford 2, Luton 1, which is always funny. Cardiff 3, Rotherham 0. Doncaster 1, Wycombe 1. If you haven't seen Doncaster's goal from Saturday, definitely recommend watching that back. Leyton Orient 2, Stockport 2. We can be thankful for Leyton Orient because they are the reason we are top of the league, technically, with that late equaliser against Stockport. So thanks for
never thought we'd be thanking Orient at any point, but here we are.
Yeah, you won't catch me doing it. No.
First and last time, I promise. Lincoln 3, Plymouth 2. Plymouth in free fall, it feels like at the moment. I think there's 3 straight defeats for them. Really, really struggling under the guy who's, I can't remember his name now. Cleverly, that's the one. Reading also really struggling, beaten at home to Ayrton Woodham 2-1. Stevenage 2, Northampton 0, as we've been discussing. And Wigan 2, Peterborough 0. The struggles for Peterborough just continue. And the league table, top of the pile, Stevenage. And let's be honest, nothing else really matters. So we'll move on to a quiz, which I pulled together. So the quiz we've got is same as always, buzzing with your name. So the quiz is you have to guess the lone player that we have had. And I'm going to basically say a little bit about who this player is, and you have to buzz in and tell me who I'm talking about. So, buzzing your name if you know the answer. First one signed in 2024 on loan from Norwich. Made 3 appearances for us. Pat.
I've got it wrong because I was going to say Saxon early, and it's a year too early for that. So, yeah.
Nick.
Go on, Nick.
Ken Abbo.
It is Ken Abbo.
Bloody hell.
Now the captain of the Norwich Academy side.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, he's found his level. I decided not to make a note of scores, which is not the best thing to be doing. I'll quickly do that now. Cool. So that's 1 to you, Nick. Okay, second, signed in January 2020 on loan from Harrogate Town. Made 8 appearances before leaving at the end of the season. Go on, Nick.
Josh March.
It's not Josh March. You are frozen out now. I'm going to add that rule last second. Subsequently, after leaving us, he has played pretty much in non-league since for Kidderminster, Boston, Scunthorpe, Darlington, and Worksop. Any guesses?
Wow.
Jim, Pat, any ideas?
That's a lot of clubs. No.
Signed on loan in January 2020, bearing in mind that was the worst season we've ever had. On loan from Harrogate. He was a winger, arguably.
Arguably.
Any guesses? Because I've got nothing else to talk about with him.
Clearly incredibly forgettable.
He is very forgettable. Okay, no points for anyone. It is Joe Leesley.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So Nick, you're still in the lead with 1. Next, signed in 2015 on loan from Cardiff, made 4 appearances. He's a centre forward. After leaving us, he spent 3 years at Gateshead before spells with Motherwell, Dundee, Mansfield, Walsall, Leyton Orient, and Hartlepool. Final clue. He has ginger hair.
Pat.
Danny Johnson is correct. Pat, you're off the mark.
Is he the one that went and scored a shit ton of goals for Walsall?
Yes. I think he did all right for Mansfield as well. But Gates said he went to, scored quite a few 3 years and then got the move to, I can't remember if it was Mansfield or Walsall, but it was one of the two. But he's played for both. Okay, next. Signed in 2019 on loan from Fulham. This striker made 2 appearances, getting sent off in one of those. I was thinking that's gonna be a bit of a giveaway, but clearly not. Okay, subsequently he moved permanently to Walsall and then to Luton, where he still plays now.
Oh, Nick.
Elijah
Adebayo.
Correct. You want to check your mic, James, just in case. Just want to make sure.
No, but to be fair, I never trouble the scorers in this quiz anyway, so I'm just going to enjoy it.
Okay. This next loanee joined in 2018 on loan from Queen's Park Rangers. Nick.
Elias Chair.
Incorrect. You are frozen out. He made 13 appearances before being recalled in January and subsequently loaned to Dundee. He eventually became QPR's number 1 before joining Middlesbrough in 2023. Nick knows now, which is making me smile. Any ideas? Pat.
Seny Dieng.
It is Seny Dieng. Nick, you're on 2. Pat's on 2. James is yet to get off the mark, but it's fine. This next one is going to be yours, James. Joined on loan in 2021 from West Ham United. Made 13 appearances before also being recalled in January and subsequently moved to Ireland to St. Pat's.
Nick.
Anang. Joseph Anang is correct. You are on to move on to 3.
What a guy. We'll
Okay.
never forget his penalty heroics against Luton.
Oh, yeah. Of course. I forgot about that.
That was the false sense of security we were brought into.
Okay. Nick, you're on 3. Pat, you're on 2. Next is joined on loan from Swindon in 2012. Scored 1 goal in 12 games, which was a thunderbolt away to Doncaster Rovers. He eventually left in 2013. Pat.
Oliver Risser.
Correct.
Bloody hell.
Don't like it.
Both on 3. Okay, next. Joined on loan in 2011 from Arsenal, making 6 appearances. Was sent off at home to Leyton Orient. Subsequently moved on loan to Preston North End before spells with Zulte Waregem, if that's how you pronounce it, in Belgium, MK Dons, Charlton, and Birmingham. Pat.
It Chuks Anike.
It was Chuks Anike.
I was on the cusp.
He only played 6 times here.
How on earth?
God,
The amount of hate I've got for that man. He must
if Wikipedia is lying, then you can take it up with Wikipedia, but 6 appearances supposedly. Actually, I think Beauregard also said 6, so I'm going to have to trust it. Okay, next. Signed on loan in January 2018 from MK Dons. Made 5 appearances, scoring twice. This striker joined us when he was approaching the end of his career. He actually started his career at Ipswich Town. Nick.
Craig McHale-Smith.
Incorrect. He started his career at Ipswich before having numerous loans and then joining Yeovil, MK Dons and Northampton permanently. Any guesses? He was a striker / winger. Spent a fair few years at MK Dons. I'm going to give up. It is Dean Bowditch.
Jesus, I've forgotten he even played for us.
He absolutely did. Right, next. Joined on loan in January 2022 from Ipswich Town. Made 4 appearances at left back before leaving to Chesterfield, where he spent 2 years.
I can see his face.
Before a spell with Hornchurch, and he's currently playing for Kings Lynn. Lovely place that is.
Oh, this is going to really annoy me.
Anyone want to hazard a guess?
His Chesterfield announcement video was literally in a supermarket. Why do I know that and not his name?
How do you know that at all?
Oh my god!
Do you want to have a guess, Nick?
I for the life of me, I haven't got a name, and it's really irritating me.
Okay, time's up. It is Bailey Clements.
Oh my god! He was buying clementines. That's why he was in the supermarket.
Oh, there was clues everywhere
Terrible.
for you. Okay, next. Joined on loan from Peterborough in 2014 before joining permanently the summer after. He then left us in 2018 to spend 6 years at Port Vale and is now playing for Oldham.
Nick. Oh, Tom Conlon.
It is Tom Conlon.
Well
So
done.
you are on to 4. Pat is also on 4. James is just having a good time. Next, joined on loan from Southampton in 2013, made 14 appearances, scoring once. Eventually left for Yeovil and currently plays for Northampton Town.
Pat.
Yes, Pat.
Sam Hoskins.
Sam Hoskins is correct.
God.
I thought that was going to be your one, James. Okay, next. This player had 2 separate loans, one from Preston North End and one from Cambridge United, made a total of 13 appearances, but he's better known for playing 234 times for Luton before his spell with us.
Pat.
Yes, Pat.
It's the destroyer himself, Keith Keane.
It's Keith Keane. Pat moves on to 6. There's a bit of daylight now. There's how many have we got left? I've got a few left up. Next, signed in 2019 on loan from Birmingham, making 20 appearances. After leaving, he had spells with Burton, Walsall, also mixed in with some loans with Ross County, Doncaster, AFC Wimbledon, and most recently Sutton United. Midfielder, 20 appearances, very, very forgettable. Anyone want to hazard a guess? He's made, I think, the most appearances.
Seddon, but it's
Oh,
not.
No, it's not Steve Seddon. Centre midfielder.
I'm going to take a stab, Nick.
Go on, Nick.
Harry Beautyman.
No, not Harry Beautyman. Anyone else want to hazard a guess?
Come on, Jim.
No.
I'm
I'm not gonna. I'm embarrassed enough as it was. I'm not gonna make it work.
It was Charlie Lakin who was. That's the most appearances of anyone so far in this quiz. So
Yeah.
okay, next. Signed in 2012 on loan from Nottingham Forest, made 7 appearances. He then left Forest. Ooh, dead heat. I'm gonna let you have it, Nick.
Tyler Walker.
Incorrect.
Oh.
That's what I was going to guess.
It's the only Forest loanee I know we've had.
I think you're a little bit early for that. Go on, James.
Jamal Lascelles.
It is Jamal Lascelles. James,
hey.
Mark.
Bosh.
Okay, there you go. You can go to sleep tonight, James. It's all good now. Right, let's two more, and Nick, you need both of these to tie with Pat. So, joined on loan from Aston Villa in 2016, made 11 appearances, scoring once. After leaving us, he had spells with Crewe, Newport, Carlisle, Port Vale, Swindon, Hibernian, Bromley, and Crawley.
Oh, and he doesn't pay his hotel bills, Pat.
Go on, Pat.
Harry McCurdy.
It is Harry McCurdy.
Yeah.
Okay, final one. Joined on loan from Derby in 2016, just made 2 appearances. Centre forward, wore number 9. He eventually left Derby for Accrington in 2018 and had spells with Crewe, Carlisle, Barrow, Newport, Fylde, Torquay, and is now playing for Chester. Somehow, because he was dreadful.
Striker from Derby.
From Derby on loan. 2 appearances he made that season. Was the 15-16 season, which was very infamous for reasons we're not going to discuss.
It takes at least a season before a player registers in my head. This is why I've been hopeless at this. 2 games.
Yeah, if you only
I'm never
show
going to
up
remember
twice.
that. Yeah.
We had Charlie Lake in for a while and he played 20. Anyway, anyone want to hazard a guess?
God knows how.
They've got to be good for us to remember them, though. That's the problem.
That's
Yeah.
not strictly true. I could have had Jack Jebb in this quiz, but I didn't.
Yeah.
That would have been because of his tan. I would have remembered him. But
Anyone want to guess before we move on?
I could not for the life of me.
No.
Hey, it is Ofrandi Zanzala.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Of
that got
course,
well known.
everyone remembers that.
Of course, he played for Derby,
We
and
had
of course,
some
we got him on
great
loan
chat
from
during
there.
that quiz.
Okay, so final scores on the doors. Pat, you win with 7. Nick, a respectful 4. James got Jamal Lascelles and 1.
Yes. I'm proud of it.
That's Mark. Important.
That's a hell of a shout, by the way.
I'm disappointed there was no Luke Amos because I would have got that straight away.
Yeah, well, he was in a recent quiz, so I again left him out for that reason. Cool, right? Let's talk
celebrity comments in the chat. Dean
celebrity
Thompson
comments.
feeds in that Keith Key once said he's disappointed he's suspended because he wants to leave a stripe on someone next week, which is a phrase him and Steve took onto commentary for weeks afterwards. And Alan Woods chips in with, I remember Nate complimenting Dieng on a great performance just before a shot squirmed onto him.
Oh. See, I'm not the original Jinx then.
No, he's done plenty.
No, but your track record with jinxing on Boropod's Twitter is legendary right now. So, right, let's talk about the games coming up. Tomorrow, Port Vale away from home, so we are top of the league, and we're going to be able to enjoy that until at the very least 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Hopefully longer. Port Vale have had a bit of a struggling start. They've had 2 0-0 draws. One obviously against Burton, we discussed earlier. That was with 10 men for the majority of that game, and 1 against Cardiff. They also had a 2-1 loss away to Rotherham, so they must be pretty damn bad. It's going to be, I think this game's going to be just really cagey. I don't know why. I just feel like it's going to be, Port Vale don't seem like they can score too many goals. I think scoring, not necessarily early, but scoring first feels like it's going to be very, very important in this one.
Yeah, it's probably the first game where I'm like, we should win it. Blackpool's, I actually expected us to lose. Rotherham, it was another one where we were confident, but still, Rotherham could easily have gone either way. Northampton, I think we went into fairly unsure, just partly through being pessimistic. But this is one where I look at it, I go, yeah, we should win this one fairly comfortably as well, considering they're missing their captain and probably one of their more important players.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It feels to me like you should win it, but then how often does that ever happen with us? Especially at a place like Port Vale. It's not somewhere we traditionally perform well.
They've struggled for goals so far this season. We've looked really good at the back for the most part, which is a severe risk of jinxing it. But I think historically we've drawn a lot with them as well. So your money's probably on a draw with hopes that we can nick something a bit better than that.
It feels like I agree in terms of that place you go to and just never seem to win a game there. And the reason I said earlier, it kind of feels it's going to be important to score first. And I feel like with the start they've had, if we go and put ourselves in front, I'd trust us to come through and win it. Their heads would no doubt drop. But the longer, I think it'll be a similar kind of game to Saturday in terms of, I think they'll certainly try and frustrate. Not necessarily as a mark of respect. I just think that they're not going to be on the front foot the whole game scoring goals because they haven't done that so far this year. But it feels, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if this ended 0-0 and we walked away with a point. But it will be very interesting if we could nick a result going into, I mean, the games we've had so far. I mean, Blackpool was, before the start of the season, was a challenging game. We all said no one really expects us to go and win up there. Obviously, the start they've had until the Saturday just gone has been a bit of a struggle. But Rotherham and Northampton were 2 games you would have said at the beginning kind of fancy us to win. The big challenge comes, I think, next Saturday against Huddersfield. That feels like a tough game. They had a bad result against Blackpool at the weekend, but at home, the business they've done, they kept 2 clean sheets in their first 2 games. Absolutely trounced Orient on the first game of the season. The squad just looks full of championship talent, and Alfie May is adding to that. If you spend 1.2 million on a striker who's going to guarantee you 15, 20 goals a season, you're in a good place. That game feels like the yardstick to see where we actually are. It feels like not that what we've done so far means nothing, but if we can go up there and put a performance in and get a result, and I'm not saying win, but just getting a result feels like a huge opportunity to come away with actually the league putting the league a bit more on notice. I think right now it's a bit like, okay, yeah, you've won 3 games, you're top of the league, sure. But that coming away with a result there feels like it would be huge.
Yeah, and we had that question fed in right at the start before we'd even gone live from Silver and Black, just asking, do you think we'll still be top at the end of August? Doubt it, to be honest, because it's a tough thing to manage with our squad, but got to take each game as it comes and do what you can, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Port Vale tomorrow will be very much a let's try and build some confidence ahead of Huddersfield. Port Vale will not be easy because they held Cardiff to a 0-0 draw in their second game, and then Cardiff went on to score 5 goals in their next 2 competitive games. So clearly fairly solid defensively, and Huddersfield will be fairly similar in terms of being solid defensively, but we'll have that added threat going forward. So we really need to use tomorrow as the confidence builders going into Saturday. Probably would be more difficult going to Huddersfield off the back of anything less than a win, I would imagine, against Port Vale. But yeah, like you say, they've spent a lot of money. They're expected to be up there. We can at least go into that game as an underdog, which is probably when we perform our best. So I'm fairly confident. I'm making the trip, so it better be good.
That's how it works.
That's the true kiss of death right there, isn't it? Not just don't start tweeting on Boropod.
I was going to say, don't let me log in.
Log out now where you can. It's going to be, I think the Port Vale game in particular feels like, it's going to be interesting. We played last Tuesday. Be interesting to see whether we stick with the same 11 that started at the weekend, whether we freshen it up and bring someone like a Dan Phillips in, or someone like even a Phoenix Patterson, who we've been talking the praises of. Are you expecting any changes, or Pat? I don't know. Are you expecting to see the same 11 again? Because it seems like that 11 is a pretty settled 11 right now.
Yeah, part of me thinks you could justify starting Ahadmi and Patterson off the back of what we just saw in the last game. If Reid needs a rest from starting, having had a really heavy workload to start the season off. But the flip side of that, I think, is the starting 11 we've got is winning. And of those 2 games, the more winnable of the 2 is Port Vale, you'd think, because of Huddersfield having that much more invested in their squad. Also, they're the second away game in 2 consecutive, whereas they've got Doncaster at home on Tuesday night, so they're going to have left miles in their legs as well. So you'd want to be as strong as possible Tuesday night, and then if people needed resting on Saturday in a game that's less likely to be won anyway, so much the worse for it. So it'd be interesting to see how he manages it. But certainly I'd like to see Phoenix starting from a selfish point of view, because he's just such an exciting player to watch.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that's probably one of the more likely changes, isn't it? Is Phoenix coming in to start his first game. We might see Dan Phillips come into that midfield just for a bit more physicality over someone like White, but I think White's quality will be important in unlocking a defence that might sit quite deep. So I think he won't overcomplicate it, but he'll still have one eye on the Saturday, whether that be through who starts or when he makes changes throughout the game. But I think that'll make it even more important that we bury that game early so that we can rest some players ahead of Saturday. So he'll definitely go out the blocks, put the pressure on them from the start, I imagine, and try and get a couple of goals up before the half-time break. That'll really put them on the back foot.
feel like the
And they've
game's
got a
gonna
point through about starting fast after they start on Saturday, which was anything but fast.
Yeah, I feel like the game's going to be way more cagey than us going 2 goals up
Yeah.
by half time and then resting players. I think this is going to be a bit more of a slog than that, if I'm honest with you. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is similar to Northampton in some regards. I don't think it's. I mean, I think Port Vale will be a little bit more adventurous than Northampton were. Northampton were definitely just trying to break things up and certainly had a referee to help do that with giving fouls left, right, and centre, whether it was whichever direction he was giving it. This one, I feel like Port Vale, as we said earlier, haven't scored 1 goal in 3 games, which is you kind of feel like defensively we should have some success. Hopefully, it's just how difficult they're going to be to break down. Because to your point, Nick, that I thought were very, very good defensively against Cardiff, and Cardiff are a side who, sure, that was only their second game of the season, but I think this is going to be I mean, if it ends 0-0, I wouldn't be shocked in any way. I generally think if that's where my money is, if I was a betting man, that's for sure. But it's if we can nick a goal and at any point in the game at 0-0, if we can get ourselves ahead, I think there's a good chance we could see it through. It's just getting that goal, which after an hour of struggling to break Northampton down, I'm not sure how easy that's going to be 3 days later away from home. The trip up to Port Vale is going to be tough.
I just think we're more equipped to play against a team that might sit back. I mean, last season, I think that's where we struggled because we didn't really have players to hug the touchline and pull fullbacks or centre-backs out to create the space in the box. We were very much seeing players cut inside and really narrowing that channel, really. So that's where my confidence comes that if they do end up looking to just purely see out a 0-0 if you Port Vale and sit deep, that we have the players like Phoenix especially that would be able to find the gaps and find the spaces and create something that would put the question back to Port Vale about how you're going to respond. And yes, that's how we should approach the game. Whether we do after how we started at Northampton is another question. But I imagine that's how we would want to approach the game, especially to keep the run going.
We've got a
Dean's in the chat giving me stick about suggesting someone should need a rest in the middle of August, which is a fair point.
I'm completely understandably so.
Yeah.
If I could give Pat a timeout, I would, Dean. Look, I think it's going to be two tough games, both on the road. I think we're if we can. I mean, I think the Huddersfield game is one in particular that I wouldn't expect too much from, which definitely makes the Port Vale one arguably more important. But as Nate said a few weeks ago, the first 5 games of the season mean absolutely nothing, right? So we'll see where we come out, because that will be by the end of Saturday. We will be 5 down, and it's going to be very interesting to see whether we are still at the top end of the table or not.
I'll go for a Stevenageism. I reckon we lose to Port Vale tomorrow and we beat Huddersfield on Saturday.
Bounce back ability.
Yeah.
I promised myself I'd be more positive this season. Which
why?
That's a great question.
He's still young, James. Yeah, he's still young.
that's
give it 10 years, Nick.
I'll be beating out of you. Yeah.
I was really negative last year, and I feel like I've been put in my place a bit by how we've started this year. So I've decided that I will now be positive about future games and how we approach them. Again, give it a couple of weeks and maybe we'll see after that 5. But I'm fairly confident going to Port Vale, and compared to last year when we had Huddersfield again fairly early on in the season, if I'm remembering.
Yeah, we
correctly,
did. Yeah, first away game.
I was fairly nervous coming up to that game, and I'm weirdly not as nervous this time round, despite how much they've boosted their squad. Again, whether that's naivety from me or whether that's a
they
genuine...
spend a fair bit of cash up there, though. They had by no means a cheap squad last year either. It's just the way they do their business.
Yeah, so look, we can only do what we do. Looks like we're doing that fairly well, albeit 3-4 competitive games in. But when you're in the position we are, I think that there's the only real way to look at it is let's just see how long we can keep it up.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Long may this nosebleed continue. That's the way I say it.
Absolutely.
Anything else before we sign off?
Can we have a look at the bottom of League Two?
That don't really matter, does it? We can. We can.
Just that Barnet have also gone 3 for 3, and I'd just like to point that out.
You know what? It's always fun looking at how Carlisle are getting on. Actually, we can have a look at the National League maybe as well. Let me see. I don't think we've got an overlay to show it on the screen, but we can have a look at where the table looks.
The interesting thing with Barnet on Saturday is they managed to go up 2 places in the table while getting beat.
Just
Crawley and
Crawley and Cheltenham. I mean, Cheltenham have already
Cheltenham are getting smashed.
Shipped 8 goals and not scored in the first 3 games. Wasn't it Cheltenham last year that didn't score in the first 12 or something crazy?
Yes.
So they're having another good year. Crawley could go back to back. They also lost 3 from 3. A lot of people fancy Bristol Rovers for success. They're also lost 3 out of the last 3. Be interesting to see how long Darryl Clark's got left there. And Barnet, just hovering just above the relegation zone, thanks to, I don't even know why, because they've scored the same number of goals and conceded the same number of goals as Crawley.
Alphabetically.
What a way to be above that.
I love looking at tables in August. It's great fun.
And we've stayed up on worse technicalities, to be fair.
Yes, that's true.
If we're talking League Two, Louis Appare's also scored 3 goals, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean,
we also had, and Greg, you're going to enjoy this, the Press scoring a goal for Walsall.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The winner as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it might have been.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to find my thread. Luke Norris scored 2 for Boreham Wood.
Oh, there was loads of ex-Borough players.
You just collected all of these.
I made a whole thread of all of the ex-Borough players that scored on Saturday, of which includes Curtis Guthrie and Jamal Loza.
Oh, that's ruined the next loan quiz. Jamal Loza was going to be on my list.
Curtis Guthrie scored, did he? If Curtis Guthrie scored, does that mean that he's waiting to sign a contract?
Where is he now?
It's at Queen of South, so I don't think it's necessarily difficult to score goals at that level. But
for some reason, I thought he went back to Jersey. I thought he went to play.
He
Jersey
did.
Bulls.
He went back to Jersey, and then this summer he went to Queen of South. So clearly didn't get on very well at Jersey.
Hell of a commute as well. I mean, is there any other ex-Borough players that scored?
An absolute icon of Stevenage front lines, Alex Reid.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Not that Alex Reid.
No.
He's definitely not making any quiz questions on my side.
And finally, one that I hadn't even realised he was still at Bromley, but I think he was out for about 12 months with injury. From our Are we going to be in the conference or are we going to be in League Two summer window? Marcus Dinanga scoring for Bromley.
Don't look back, Dinanga.
So as you can tell, we're really good at making goal scorers for the leagues below us.
I mean, that summer, that summer's business we did in that year of COVID / not sure what division we're going to be in. Yeah, it was something else. And I've still got a signed shirt from that season as well. Beyond tragic, I'd say. Cool.
Is it a Tyrone Marsh shirt by any chance?
He plays for Bedford Town now. Do you know that?
Scored. Yeah.
Did? Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I was contemplating watching them tomorrow because they're playing at home to someone. Can't remember who else, some northern team. But I think I'll watch Stevenage on TV instead.
For your sins.
Why not? James, thanks for coming on. Great to
thank you for having me.
On the hat-trick ball. I will bring that to you next time I see you. Thanks for coming on. Always welcome.
Thanks,
Nick,
guys.
thanks again. Pat, thanks for joining, everyone. Appreciate it. Follow us on all the socials. You name it, we're on there. We'll be back next week, 8:30. Nate's probably back. Sorry about that. But we will be happy, hopefully still top of the league. We'll wait and see. See you next week.
Up the bar.
Woo!
I was waiting for the woo.
We all were.